I should tell you, you were also the guy who convinced me that copyright was mental. I listened to your well, it wasn't a podcast. It was a lecture you had done
Yep.
a few years ago. I saw on Mises.org. And I listened to it once and I didn't quite get it. I listened to it again with some friends and family. And the second time I heard it, I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, I get it. And so, in that spirit, I'm going to transcribe all of the words that you say today. I'm going to redo it as me saying them. And I've also gotten the domain me.liberty. So I'm going to be taking that.
That sounds perfect. I don't recommend it. Just, I mean, I, I I would be all for it, but I would be cruel to suggest it to you because it's too expensive to try to do what I'm doing. Actually, it's too expensive and it's too much of a headache, and you will go broke, and you will live in poverty like me, who can barely afford bourbon and wine at this point in my life. But hopefully, that's going to turn around once the site opens. I
Well,
hope.
on that very encouraging and uplifting note, uh, what liberty me? What is it? And fundamentally, I know that it's from what I understand so far, it's more of a framework than a specific thing. I'm not sure if you have like it's the ends itself, or is it a framework for other people to develop and grow, and kind of you're allowing the community to kind of drive it forward. But fundamentally, what is liberty.me?
Yeah, I like the way you put that actually. I sort of see it as founding Manhattan actually. So, if you're going to put Manhattan together, you need streets and sewer lines and whatever. But and some basic buildings and that sort of thing. But then yeah, you want the thing to grow organically. And so I'm trying to create a very much of a scalable community here at this point. But we do have a tremendous amount in place. I mean, there's no website actually that compares to it anywhere, and the whole on the entire internet. And I know this. I had suspected this because I had begun to imagine the possibility of combining. This is this last spring of combining social networking, multi-site blogging platforms for members with robust archived forums and news feeds and real-time encrypted chat all in one single um, space, which allows every form of communication and community building and publishing without gatekeepers that you can imagine, right? And this is technologically, it's only become possible this last spring, thanks to the fall in the price of virtualization and open source web development that's made this kind of tools available for less than gazillion dollars, right? So I looked around and I didn't see anybody attempting this in any area at all. So I kind of just put it together in my mind, and this is my dream, basically. I mean, I asked myself, where do I want to live? In the cloud, this great free frontier that we have before us. What kind of city would I like to live in? And this is this is what I came up with. So, putting together has been Herculean. Actually, it's just been remarkable. I mean, I've got some really serious code slingers putting all this stuff together because essentially nobody's ever attempted it before. But I guess you could ask a question: what's the point? And the point is both practical and philosophical. On the practical level, we need a place to live. We need a place we can publish. And I know so many great libertarian minds. I mean, people who are thinking serious ideas about liberty that don't really have a place they can sort of put it and enjoy that sort of crowdsourced SEO, so that they can get in front of people. Anybody can get a Blogger account and post some ramblings, but it's actually very, very difficult to get attention for this kind of stuff, right? So if we crowdsource our skills and our talents, then we can all kind of gang up together and make a huge impression on the world. So it's not just, some people have asked, oh, is Liberty Me a walled garden? Well, yeah, there is a walled garden aspect, but there's also like a megaphone aspect too, So, I mean, you're putting thousands of great minds together in one space, and we can all kind of broadcast our ideas out there based on a karma system, that we can all benefit from each other's intelligence and access to the World Wide Web. So, for example, I'm going to be posting exclusively on liberty.me, but I don't want to give myself any advantages over any one of the many thousands of members we already have. So I want to be upvoted in order to land on the front page. I want to face a real competitive environment. But what it means is that every other person who's a member has exactly the same, has equal rights to me as I have, to live and to talk and to speak within this space. It's going to like soar through the charts in terms of SEO. I can't wait to see what's going to happen there. It's going to be brilliant, actually. So nothing like this has ever been attempted. I mean, I saw glimmers of it in my previous sort of projects, but now for the first time ever, I have the resources to actually pull all this technology together, and we have actually the technology for the first time to pull it all together. So and unfortunately, maybe I'm not the best salesperson of this, because I love to focus on the technical aspects of it, because that's what I see. But in the end, you do have a strong philosophical, strategic component here too, which is about it's about trying to reformulate the vision of what liberty is and what it does and how it can achieve things in our world. I think for like 50 years, we've been kind of stuck in a theoretical mode. And then when it comes to applying the idea of liberty, we always turn to politics. It's like, well, maybe we need to get the right person in office. Maybe we can persuade Congress to change the law. Well, that's not really happening, and I don't think it's going to happen, actually. I think we need to be realistic about that. Governments don't like to change. They like power. They like to steal stuff from us, basically. They like to start wars. So that's just the way they are, and that's really crappy. On the other hand, are we going to just spend the rest of our lives, bemoaning that fact and begging them for our rights and our freedoms? I think that's rather a pointless endeavor. Whereas I think a better path is to forge our own liberty, to build our own world, basically, that affects our lives, not just so that we can live in the cloud, but affects our lives deeply and intimately in everything we do, our choice of profession, where we live, how we go about getting educated, what we eat, how we sleep, how we handle facing Leviathan every day. What are the tricks? What are the ways out? And if you think about it, all great libertarian literature deals with this. I mean, everything from Atlas Shrugged to Hunger Games is a story about a gigantic, overweening state that seems to have all of life locked up, and some brilliant people figure out a way to wreck it and build something beautiful. That's what the story of liberty is about. So I want Liberty Me to be about crowdsourcing ideas to wreck the plan and build a new world for ourselves and for our friends and for our communities and for the whole planet. That's essentially it. I know it sounds ambitious. It is. It's crazy. But I'm very optimistic.
Yeah, me too. You say you're not the best salesman, but I was watching the promo video again today. I saw it, the one for Indiegogo that you had, and I absolutely love it. I was aware just towards the end, I was aware that I'd been smiling the entire way through the video, and the very start of the video, you say this is just one sentence, and I think it sums up amazingly. Politics and government are dreadfully boring, and I love that, because the angle that me and a lot of other people have been taking is that politics and government are evil and we need to fight this evil, and it there's lots of evil out there. It's not the most compelling thing, funnily enough. What's more compelling than evil is boredom. Boredom is something that people struggle with every single day. People will pick up a video game and play it, or listen to some music, or do whatever. What I see is Liberty Me is not just a solution to government being evil, but it's actually a solution to boredom. I can see myself, I'm sitting on the jacks and I pull out my phone. I'm like, I'm looking up Liberty Me, or anytime right. I get time, I'm going to be checking in on it, looking at what people are saying, and it's a solution to boredom, and I think that's much more compelling than evil. I know it sounds funny, because evil is obviously much more important than whatever, but I love your approach. Your approach is much more fun. It's much more lighthearted. It's much more real. It's something that you can practically approach. And that's that video that you did. It just summed it up perfectly. And you are. I mean, you're a great salesperson for this thing.
Thank you for saying that. I should credit Oscar Wilde here, because I've done a tremendous amount of study in Victorian era socialism and the intellectual culture that rose around it. And there were two aspects of socialism. There's a highly politicized version of socialism that was really actually just tedious and ridiculous. But there's another aspect of socialism that was all about freedom and art and speech and rethinking lifestyles and coming up with new forms of music and new forms of literature and breaking down hierarchies. And that's the kind of the fun part of socialism. But Oscar Wilde was asked one time about his own socialism. So he wrote a beautiful essay called "The Soul of Man Under Socialism," which if you read this essay, you'll realize he's not talking about socialism. He's talking about human liberty, actually, because the socialists were different from the socialists we know today. But then he was asked more specifically about the sort of highly politicized socialists that are trying to achieve some sort of political revolution. And his response was, look, he said, the problem with socialism is it just takes far too many evenings. Which is very interesting. I thought that was a good critique. I mean, the reason Oscar didn't like scientific socialism is that it ruins your life. Actually, it takes you over and heavily politicizes you to the point that you're just attached to what the government is doing all the time. And if you live that way, you can become depressed. It can become horrible. It's a bad way to go about life, and I don't want libertarians to go this path, and it can happen. You become a libertarian, you become obsessed with evil in the world and with what the government's doing. The problem is we don't control the government, so this is not a very good path for us if we're going to be hopeful and actually make a constructive contribution to building a new life. So I think you're right. In a way, I conceive of Liberty Me as a way out of this predicament, a way out of sadness, a way out of despair. And I think we'll be surprised, actually, all the solutions are going to be available to us if we just put our minds to it. We see this around us all the time. Look at Bitcoin. Look at cryptocurrency. These are brilliant innovations that are actually like threatening cartelized banking systems all over the world. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it was the private sector. It was brilliant entrepreneurs that came up with this idea. I mean, how many more ideas are there out there that are yet to be thought? We need to have a space in which we can kind of gather together and put our minds to thinking crazy new things.
Is Liberty Me going to be a place specifically for like people who are already libertarian, already anarchistic, or is it going to be kind of open to anybody to see articles and whatever?
Well, it is. Well, yeah. There's paid and free aspects to it. So we're going to have more free content than most any website anywhere. But then membership also has its privileges. So there'll be and that's going to be allocated according to just what you would expect. If you want to post on the forums, you want to have a profile, you want a blogging site, then you got to be a member. But then with membership comes like about 50 guides I've commissioned from the best experts I know in about 50 areas of life. And I love these guides. I've learned so much being on this side of it. I've learned so much from reading them. But in terms of like who can be a member, I don't want to like set up some kind of bridge of asses where you've got to be like an anarchist. You've got to agree with me. You've got to have. I don't want to kick people away. Basically, I think that the impulse towards human liberty is a universal thing. I don't think really that we should exclude anybody from our ranks. If they want to be free, then I want Liberty Me to provide a means to make that happen, actually. Maybe not fully, but at least get people thinking along the right lines. So I don't want it to be just us insiders. And I know it's going to be a challenge. I mean, libertarians love to fight with each other, right? That's one of our favorite things to do. So I hope to cultivate a kind of environment of civility and manners and intelligence within the community so that everybody can benefit from it,
Absolutely. I was very interested with, and I have been following for the last couple of years, the likes of Indiegogo and Kickstarter, that the kind of model for funding, which I think again is in itself another step forward in the same way that Liberty Me is pushing content distribution forward. In Indiegogo and Kickstarter, I mean, you chose this as a way of funding. I think it's remarkable that you can have customers pay for products before they're made.
Isn't it
Uh,
brilliant?
it's amazing, and
Amazing.
yeah, and so you don't have to take all that
Revolutionary.
risk of getting shareholders and people up front to invest in you. You can just go straight to the people who say, "Oh, that's a great idea," and they put in their money, and then you deliver it in a certain period
Isn't
of
it
time.
brilliant? Yeah, I mean, really, this is a great example. You put it very well. It's a great example of a market-based solution to a kind of state-tinged problem. I mean, for 500 years, any kind of capitalistic entrepreneurial project that is not backed by family or personal resources has always gone crawling to banking cartels, and or just other large sources of money, which is variously compromised the product in some ways. I mean, it's businesses are in hock to banks, and next thing you know, every business is lobbying for bailouts for the banks because they know it's going to affect their livelihood. So yeah, crowdfunding is revolutionary in that way. I mean, amazing that it actually makes possible to democratically distribute the funding of capitalistic enterprise. That's an incredible fact. I mean, when you think about that, that is a singular innovation in history. And it's all come about because of the digital age. We raised, we've overshot our goal by about $5,000 or $6,000, which is just great. But then we also raised an additional 71 Bitcoin. So we were almost at, I mean, I don't know what the prices are today, but at least when the campaign closed, we were about 200K, which is nice for us because it gave us the extra 2.5 months that I desperately need. You know, I think I'm pretty good at technology, but actually I'm a little bit reckless, and so when I first imagined, putting all these features together in one big platform, I imagined dragging and dropping things here and there. But, once you start mixing your labor with the code, you realize, code just ain't easy. And so I wanted to be open by December. And then, the guys I've entrusted this task to, were just like going crazy. Like, you have no idea what you've done, actually. You have no clue just how outrageous what you're imagining truly is. Like, nobody else is doing this. So we need a little bit of extra time to make this happen. So that's when the Go campaign came along. I thought, oh crap, here we go. But the results are so thrilling. It's hard for me because I'm a little bit of a high time preference person. I want things to happen now rather than later. But every day I get to look at this world being created, and other people don't have access to this because it's still not live yet. But I'm just thrilled at the designs. I mean, they just. When I first was imagining this, I told our designers that I didn't want it to look like anything else that exists. I want it to be like a vast space. I want it to be large and deep and seemingly scalable upwards and backwards in every direction, and not a contained space, but a ever expanding one. And the colors I wanted to be sort of gender neutral, just sort of be happy humanity kind of colors, and all the iconography and everything I wanted to be transparent and beautiful, not manipulative, but warm and inviting. And all these things have actually happened. I mean, I get to see it every day, and you've seen the logo, so that's a slight peek. But imagine an entire website, not just website, but like a web-based city with endless sectors in it, every one of which has, that spirit, that sense of life and expansiveness. And that's what we're talking about. I mean, I'm fully expecting Liberty Me to fundamentally change the way people think what websites should look like and do. I really do believe this. I'm so excited. And look, I can't. I mean, I'm telling you these things, and in a couple of months, we're doing, by the way, a closed beta March 1st for everybody who contributed to Indiegogo, and then we're doing an open beta March 17th, and then we're going to be in a live beta by April 1st. And every word I've ever said about this site is going to be checked against the reality, and I'm fully confident, actually, that I can come out okay.
Yeah, I'm
It's
super
really
excited.
exciting.
I was looking again at the video and some of the screenshots, and I'm seeing the website being used, and I'm like, I want to get onto this. I need to
I
get onto
know.
this.
I know.
So yeah, so I'm
I
really
know.
looking forward to it. When did you say for the contributors? March, the start of March, or
For the closed beta, it's going to be March 1st. I
okay,
hope
cool.
it might be as late as March 7th. I don't know, but uh, and you can imagine from my point of view, Gareth, because I mean, I have to write every day. It's a pathology. Well, I don't really have a home right now. I don't have a reliable home, so I have to sort of shop my stuff around, and it's been fun. You know, I've been posting Huffington Post and Daily Caller and CoinChomp and Bitcoin Magazine and Leslie Fair Books, which I still work for, and um, other places. But but for me, you know, as a writer, I want 30 to 45 days to go by. I want 30 days to go by. But that'll be the closed beta. Yeah, but I'll probably still post on that. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to handle that. But let's just say I want 60 days to be done, in which I have like a daily reliable place that I can just kind of like constantly, uh, dig through what's happening in my mind, put it out on paper, and show it to the world in a reliable, consistent way. I mean, that to me is just so exciting, and presumably add value to a community, and then extract the knowledge and brains of other members and friends of mine. Hopefully in the thousands and thousands to do the same, and we can all kind of come together. I mean, I'm so excited about this. I can hardly stand it. It's like a writer's dream, really. It's a thinker's dream. It's a anybody who's ever longed to live a freer life. It's a dream for all of us, really.
You have some great writers and some great people on board to keep you content, like Stefan Molyneux and the likes. I
Yeah.
love, absolutely love his stuff. Great group of people that you have, and just the content. I'm just every single morning. That's how I'm going to start my morning. I know that from April. I'm thinking April. Is it April 1st onwards?
That
Uh,
will be yeah, that'll be the fully live beta. So the closed beta will be March 1st. I mean, this is a very interesting kind of rollout situation because we're privileging people who, showed confidence in us going forward, and then inviting. It's going to be an invitation only sort of situation for March 15th. I mean, I understand this. We had very interesting discussions internally about like how to handle this because my own view. By the way, I'm always usually overridden within my own company, but which is very funny. But I like it actually. My own view was, oh, to hell with it. Let's just open it and see what happens. But actually, that's a little bit dangerous because there's so much that can go wrong, and we really do want to have the best possible opening. And also, there's a point to bringing in people who really showed faith in us in the early days, and inviting them to help build and to critique and to change and yeah, March is going to be a month of real adventure, Oh gosh, I wish you could put yourself in my place. Actually, it's almost the idea of sleeping at night strikes me as absurd. Uh, I don't know how I can explain it to you, but I hate it, right? And because the only point to going to bed at night is to wake up as soon as possible, because I know physiologically I need it. Otherwise, I would just stay with this every single second. I mean, it's so exciting to be on this end of a project like this. It's just a blessing. It sounds pious. It's a privilege. I mean, it's just something I never thought I would live to see. All my dreams coming true, and that's what's happening right now.
wow, and you say you're not the best salesperson for this.
I'm
So
a little geeky.
So if people want to find out more, okay, so we know it's launching to the public April 1st or around that time, and March 1st or so for people who contributed early on. If people
Yeah,
wanted to just keep track and keep
yeah,
on,
yeah.
would that be Facebook or would they just go straight to liberty.me and put in your
Yeah,
email?
liberty.me. Yeah, we're getting several hundred signups per day there, and believe me, I mean, if you put your email address and your contact information there, we will be contacting you, and not in an annoying way, but in a fun way about everything that's going on. So, I would encourage everybody to do that. Yeah. that's the way to get in touch. And then, I'm going to be at ISFLC. That's the International Students for Liberty Conference, I guess next week. Can't wait for that. And then I'll be in Liberty Forum, and I'm going to be passing out some cards with Bitcoin addresses and things like that, where people can actually get into the live bit. Listen, thanks so much for caring about this. I mean, it's so sweet of you to be interested and be excited about what we're doing here. That means a lot to me. So thank you.
Oh no, Jeffrey, I love this thing, and I love that there are people out there who are willing to put their money where their mouth is, and really try and start something that will change, that will really add towards that momentum. Towards changing the future, and this really is. I've never been so excited, with the exception of maybe Bitcoin. I'm similarly right. Bitcoin and Liberty.me. The two of them just consume my thoughts. I had put Liberty.me out of my thoughts for the last few days, but only for the reason that I can't wait for it to launch. And when I can't wait for something, I just tend to forget about it until it's actually there. So I'm just like, okay, forget about it until March, and then I'll check in with you. And I really can't wait for it. It's well, an amazing project.
The important thing to remember, I think, and this is true for every entrepreneur, it's true for all of us in our lives, it's too easy to think of life as a series of routines, one day after the other, Monday, Tuesday, and so on. But actually, that's not the way the world works. The truth is that the world is divided between two really different things. One is called the past, and it's already known. The other thing is called the future, and it's something we can create for ourselves. And that's what I'm most excited about. I'm excited about what Liberty.me is going to do for the future, to forge the thing that's yet to be made and can be made by us together. And once you understand that, it makes you have a purpose for life. It makes you understand that the future can be better than the past, that we can make anything of it we want to make. It's just a matter of determination and creativity. It's not easy, but once you believe that, amazing things can happen. And that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting remarkable things.
Just to clarify, anybody's looking to follow up on this, liberty.me, and just get your email in there and keep an eye on this. This is one of the biggest things to happen since forever, and just keep your eye on it. Jeffrey Tucker, thank you so much for joining me today, man. So much. We'll skip March because I know you're busy, so maybe sometime later in April I'll get in touch and see if we can do it. That'd be lovely. Oh, fantastic. Okay, Jeffrey, thank you so much, man. Have a great day, and all the best with this launch. I'm going to be following it very closely.
Thanks so much. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Okay, awesome. Good night, man. Bye.